It is Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. I'm Dr. Grantham Taylor Hughes for my show, The Grantham Taylor Hughes Show. My guest host every single time is Zena Suzanne Z and Stephen Anthony Hall. How you doing there, folks?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I'm good, Dr. Hughes, thank you. And Zena, how are you?
I'm good,
I'm just fine.
thank
And Steve's carrying the topic today, so go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I thought we could talk about the power of the mind and the placebo effect. Now, the placebo effect has been around for quite a long time, and it is attached to the power of the mind in the sense that, although it differs in the sense that the placebo effect, they've done experimentation on it, where people don't have to actually use the mind. The placebo effect is a belief, and if you believe something will work, then it will. But that then is attached to the power of the mind because it's the power of the mind that enables that to take place. So the power of the mind. Let's delve into that a little bit. It's the mind is what controls us in the physical world, and we can. There's no end to what we can do if we realise that our minds are all powerful. But we do limit ourselves, and we are limited by conditioning, which we're brought up with through life, from being baby born to adulthood. And those early years are what defines us. And we then struggle a lot with what we learn as children. We're conditioned into certain ways in family, in school, and in social environments. But the power of the mind is ours. It's what we want to do with it. And a lot of people don't, probably never, actually tap into that ability with the power. The placebo effect is obviously if somebody has a pill, a medicated pill from a doctor, and the doctor says, "Oh, this should work. If it doesn't come back, you'll go away, and your placebo effect will happen almost automatically." But if they give you a Smartie, a sweet Smartie, and said, "Oh, this is medication. This will help you with your problem," you will go away, and that placebo effect will still work because you will believe that sweet is a medication and it will help you with your problem. So that's the placebo. But power of the mind for me is where we are in control of our thought patterns and our imagery. And it's important that we control that for ourselves and not be controlled by outside influences. So I just wonder what your views might be on that.
Oh yeah, it's very extensive with it. I appreciate the topic. It's very extensive. We could probably do several videos on that because our world is really set up because of that effect. And we're talking about big pharma, which is um, difficult in itself because even though, as I've said many times before, if we give out the truth, doesn't mean it's going to end systems and what have you. Because big pharma, not unlike homeopathy, they're into this placebo effect, but they don't explain the factor of it being the case. But you see, the necessity of confidence in a pill is important for someone because we need confidence in something. See, if we're relying on ourselves because we're not trained in self-reliance, we're trained even as a young child. And you were talking about the first couple of years of being conditioned. We're conditioned to be dependent in the society. We're dependent. We're not independent, and there's no really true individuality. So that's a real problem in reference to the whole placebo effect that's around us, because the placebo effect uh, parallels into the world of our whole manifestation is the placebo effect being something that affects you without it being the reality of whatnot. In other words, is it really true, or is it just a guesswork, you're paying money for the pill, and you're making a profit from it? It's a fianchetto, if anything. It's profit above people. So we're going to sell you the pill, which is very important because we need the profit. Like we're selling the videos here because we need the money for the institute, you see. So it's just a game of profit. The whole thing is the whole placebo effect is a suggestion so that they can get the profit from the people. So and then they will cure what ails you because we're having expertise of a certificate from a university that certifies the fact that he's Ph.D. And what does Ph.D. mean? Piled higher and deeper, right? Hey, he has a PhD after your name too. Oh, I see that. It's very interesting.
What are your thoughts, Ina?
Well, I was interested in what you said about controlling imagery, and I'd be interested to hear more about what you meant by imagery and how to control it.
Well, for instance, a big topic these days because of the population expansion, and let me just put that into figures. In 1900, there was 1.6 billion people on this planet. There are now knocking up for 9 billion, 125 years later. So that is a massive expansion of population. But and the ailments, if you like, illnesses that have come transparent or apparent from those years, those population growths, and obviously that's attached to processed foods, etc., etc. But if say for instance somebody goes to the doctor and the doctor does some tests and then you go back for the results and the doctor says you've got cancer, the first thought of that person is going to be, I'm not saying every time, but majority is, I'm going to die. So as soon as you've latched onto that and attached that to your imagery, you're going to die. And the imagery could be what's going to happen to my family, you're looking at a coffin, all sorts of imagery about you dying and your life's going to end. So that then becomes a very powerful thought that is an image in your mind because of a suggestion. Now, the doctor's not going to say, don't worry about it because it's just cancer. We can sort it out. He can't say that. But what he can say is, well, we'll have to look at it and we'll have to see, try this and we'll try that chemotherapy or whatever, and we'll see how it goes. But ultimately, your first thought is going to be, I'm going to die.
Absolutely. And that's the problem that in reference to conceptualism of we talk about mortality on the call, proper mortality. They don't have that concept. See, if they have proper mortality, they could work with the extension of life. Our therapists can, with the right concepts, can help with the continuation of life, but they don't have the right concepts. That's why if people would view our show, then we're giving out proper concepts, and the pharmaceutical industry would not necessarily stand down, but at least we could talk about and be conscious of the placebo effect being necessary in someone's life. You see what I mean? Because we need to have confidence in something, because we need confidence in each other, see,
Mm.
in order to express and appreciate people's individuality, we have to get out of somebody's way so they can make their own realization. See, we're not doing that, and it's all parallel and it's all in sequence what we're talking about in terms of mind stuff and the powers of the mind and all these things that they get into the idea of portality. We're not have just like I coined the word flash today, fast light. Where is the proper terminology? Where's the proper concepts? And we have that on our call. So that's why we want these to go viral and tell your friends and everybody else that people are paying attention because we have some information no one else has. It's unique unto our videos. And I really appreciate your kind words, both of you. And I'm really done today. See you later. Okay, take care now. Just kidding.
And I'd like to just add a little bit to
You knew
that.
I was going to do that, right?
Well, you come back very quickly, as quick as you go, really. But I'd just like to put an example forward about the positive, negative. But this is positive side. Is that and the example I'm going to use is Patrick Swayze. Now, most people should know who Patrick Swayze was. Now, he died of cancer, but in his later stages of cancer, or when he was diagnosed, for instance, he was given 2 to 3 months by the doctors. You know, it was that bad. Yet he lived for 2 years. Well, how can that be? there's only one way that can be, and is that his power of the mind, that he was not going to give up. You know, now I didn't know this, but he was quite an heavy drinker, but he was definitely a heavy smoker. He used to smoke 60 a day. Well, that in anybody's book is heavy smoking, and for somebody to do that to their body, even though he looked extremely fit right towards the end, uh, is internally he wasn't obviously that fit because of his smoking and his drinking, but his mind controlled how long he lived after they gave him 2 to 3 months. And this is the difference, or the power of the mind. Even though ultimately he died and succumbed to it, the power of his mind allowed him to eke out more time. Now, the other thing I wanted to say about it is, if you hydrate, you will negate, cancel out a lot of these diseases, as we call them, these ailments, these illnesses, because hydration is what the body needs. And we come back on that circle to hydration, how important that is in every aspect of our lives. You know, the aspect of the yantra is so important because it gives us our empire, our worldly goods, so to speak. But bodily, we need to keep up with that and merit and balance it out with hydration. So that's just one example I wanted to put forward.
That's great. Thank you. I really appreciate. I'm in concert with that exactly because it's very important that the agreeability on the truth is critical because that's what we're doing here. So, Zena, what's your views on what we're talking about here? What did you have a viewpoint? I'm sure you do, because you have an element of incredible genius in your own self, which I respect a great deal. So, take it away, Zena, superhero.
I was just, I was just thinking about mortality and how, we're so conditioned from the time that we're born to think of this life as only being up to 100 years. Um, so it's a big jump for people to go from that to this concept of mortality that you're introducing. It's very new and probably beyond many people's thinking.
Yes, it is beyond their ken. And what's interesting about that, the more that we talk about and explain it, then people can ingest it after a while. It's like a graduality. We give it a little bit, and then they'll think about it because anything we talk about here, you can't help but be truthful because we make proper conclusion. We were saying that earlier in pre-talk about if we give proper synthesis, and Hegelian dialectic is the Greco-Roman is ethos, pathos, logos, and the English is thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So if you synthesize your concepts, people are thinking in synthesis. So that's what we talk about. That's why this is very interesting, and we'll have to go viral, and will go viral because nobody else is talking about the things that we talk about. So back to mortality, proper mortality is the definition of it is if there's ground below you, you can live there. You see, so that means that the ground that below us now, according to my Tibetan teachers, we're talking about it's only 6 million years. But then that doesn't take in, there's a term called supralaya where it juxtapositions and disappears and then comes back again in the same history line that they're doing. So the historians and the geologists and all those people that study history, anthropologists and what have you, don't understand supralaya. Okay, that means there was dinosaurs and just like the people that study the anti-evolution people, they think the dinosaurs are made up and things of that nature. What they're really missing is the portality process of proper mortality. So when you understand this, then you can appreciate the fact that my teachers are hundreds of years old when I met them in India because they don't have a mental limitation like we do in the West. All it is, remember we said it's a concept. We have a concept in the West that you lived 100 and you're out of here because it comes from the Greek writings. They were saying that very few people lived over 100 years old. So what happens? That's the end of the race in the West because we take that suggestion in. But in the East, they don't have that suggestion. So when I lived out there, there were people that are very old because they don't have a concept of the limitations. Sure, they had people dying off at young ages and stuff, but what is the factor of death? And death is something that one of my teachers said that you're not simulated to life. So you leave. You just you take off. And wherever that is, I have no idea. The religions call, they went up to the sky, they went to heaven. I'm okay with that. I have no problem with it. I believe the sun is a portal into higher dimensions because we talked about that. But in terms of anything else, it's a matter of I'm diffident on that because I think that we need to address the exoteric in terms of getting some people some money, some cold hard cash. Bring it in. Bring it in fast and furiously. Bring it in truckloads. That lorry is pulled up to the back there. Let's see, the truck is American and lorry is British because I have my two British co-hosts. I got to be careful with the terminology. It's a lorry or an articulated lorry, right? Articulated is one of the big, like a semi truck in America, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I also wanted to say that in relation to the hydration, we've come back to it. That's how important it is because we keep coming back to it. Is that it's never too late. So if somebody says, "Oh, I've all my life I've never hydrated properly. I've gone out, I've drunk alcohol, I've eaten McDonald's or whatever, and I've abused my body basically." But it's never too late to sort it out. I'm not saying that you're going to live an expendedly long time, but you're going to help yourself to live longer than you would normally. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
never too late to start hydrating.
Well, they told me that you can live around close to 300 years just by mega hydration. Okay, not changing your diet because it'll wash away all the iniquities of the food that you eat. But beyond that, there has to be some dietary changes. And then in the East, they were talking about breatharianism. We've talked about the air having hydration, having humidity in it. It also has nitrogen, which is the only mineral solid in the air that converts to your physical body. But all these things that we're talking about, because we know we're living in flasks, right? Fast light, the word fast, and everybody should learn that term because it's really no heat involved with it. It's just fast light. So the essence of what we are, apparently what they were telling me about is some kind of light or whatever. I have no idea what all that is because I can see you and I can see Xena, and it's the only light that I can see is there's a wall behind Xena and there's a white wall behind you. Mine's kind of fuzzy. I did it on purpose because I live in a fuzzy world. Back here in the fuzz.
That's why we call it
It's a
fuzzball.
hazy word. My world is kind of somewhat of an illusion because he talks about it being an illusion. So his background is sort of elusive. Elusive background, Grantham Taylor Hughes. We can see you clearly, but that's because I've come out of the haze. Oh, and into real life.
Well,
That's
you
funny stuff, don't you think?
brought another subject that we could talk about forever, and we may do at some other time about your what you see your world. What you create, and I think the important thing, everything that we talk about, is that we as individuals have to take responsibility for ourselves.
Mhm.
And not take that responsibility and put it onto other people. It's our responsibility and it's our life and it's whatever we create and what we make of it.
Well,
It's
just like the word responsibility is the ability to respond. See, I like turning words around, messing around with words because they make our concepts. I mean, wordplay is really important. People get nervous about the wordplay too, because when you make light of it, this is serious information. You shouldn't make light of my grammar. I was poor. If you don't have proper grammar, we need to fix that. No, no, no. I like my slang. I like to call a lorry a truck. Wouldn't that be considered a slang, right, to the British? A truck would be slang, right? Or
Mm.
just the vernacular of the West, right? The vernacular of Americans. It's slang to the, come on, admit it. The Americans, English is just a bunch of slang, right? Because they were when they first came over there, they're like Australian prisoners. They brought over the prisoners, so they had the low class people came over to America, just like in Australia. It was a prison camp. I'm pretty sure. Even though, see, they don't really talk about that in America because they don't like their low beginnings and what have you.
look at that, how that's changed from being a convict colony, which it was by the British, to a country that is envied worldwide, around the world.
Well, at
You
the
know,
same time, I don't envy it because of the fact that it's getting pretty awful. And then again, it's really a continent. Each one of the states is a country. If you look to Black's Law Dictionary, state and country are synonymous. So when they talk about like Pennsylvania being a state, it's really a country because it has its own government. See, so the federal government is the United States is really controlling American Samoa, Mariana Islands, which there's two other ones, and that's the United States. See, United States of America, and so the states in the country, even that's why they had the Civil War. They were trying to get states' rights, maintain states' rights, and they did with each one of the states' country, our country. A lot of people are not aware of that, but that's part of the common law. My Ph.D. in the common law was explaining that particular item or subject matter. So again, it's one of these things in terms of uh, uh, boundary problem, boundary in the countries we live in, and the earth and all the cosmos that we talk about sometimes. And we'll get into that more often. And we've talked a little bit about the app and what have you. We've got to get the right cosmos for people and get that right concept, and then you work from there. Just like when we're talking about portality and we're standing on the ground, if it's only been here for 6 million years, does that mean you could live to be 6 million years old? I'm not really answering that question. I'm not going to answer that at all. Figure it out for
well,
yourself.
we talk about cycle of life, and what we just talked about there is Australia was a convict colony, but the cycle of life brought it round to being a fervent, well-to-do country. But that can just as easily go as it came. And that goes for any country. The Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, the German Empire, America. Cycles, you can't control cycles. You can to a degree, but they will go around whatever. The cycle of the earth is going round, and it'll go around whatever. Of the cosmos, it'll go around whatever. And the same
Yeah,
will
it's a
go around.
revolution we call it, like revolving. It's a revolving situation. It's not spheroidal, but it's revolving. We know that because even Einstein he proved curved space, like everything's in a curve. It would be calculus. It's mood swings and it's in motion. See, that's the thing that makes people nervous too, that we're in constant state of motion and they want things solid. They want to be on solid ground, but it's spinning, right? But it's not spheroidal. It's just spinning upward to the sun in terms of the DNA universe, as above, so below, or deoxyribose nucleic acid. It also spins up to the sun in Plato's The Spindle of Necessity in Appendix 2 of the Republic. Hey, I said that in one breath, too. That was pretty good. What do you think, Zena? Did you have some questions? I can see you're chomping at a bit over there or passing out. We're not really sure yet.
Well, I just wanted to go back. Steve was talking about the governments and the countries and the changes that happen over time. And I just wanted to go back to the power of the mind because I do agree that, everything that we experience in our world is our own creation, and we create that through our thoughts. Um, and, thoughts lead to things. So it is a responsibility. We individually, we have that responsibility, and it's something we need to consider is being able to discipline our thoughts so that we're creating what we want and not creating the things that we don't want. Um, yeah, that was it really. So when it comes to the global changes, governments, etc., we're in a way individually and collectively, we're all creating that by our
That's right. We do orchestrate it, and then it's our responsibility to get in there and mix it up to see what's really going on with that. At the same time, it can be very complex. And I'm always saying that the systems that we have are just fine, but they need to be tweaked a little bit. They need to be fixed to make them perfect because you can make things perfect or close to it. if you get in there and mix it up with the systems. But don't condemn the systems. There's too much culprit. We got to find bad guys all the time, the good guys and bad guys. There was a movie years ago called Zero Effect with Bill Pullman and I can't remember, Ben Stiller. And Ben Stiller was his assistant, and Bill Pullman was this detective called Zero, right? And Pullman's going on about, well, you have the good guys and the bad guys, and these guys are battling each other. And Ben got there, no, 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 you don't understand. All they are really is a bunch of guys. See, so that's what we have. It's just a bunch of people running around in circles mainly, which is probably a good thing, but they're really lost. So we're getting in there and we're going to create on the Omnivergence Institute, the grounds, we're going to create the building called the Directorate. And you can go in there and get all the answers that you need in your life. Any question you have can be answered in the Directorate. And you'll come out going, oh, I feel so much better talking to people in the Directorate. Now I know what I'm doing in my life. And I'm going to go back there next week and try to revisit the things that I've forgotten about because my memory is just like Grant's. It's 3, 2, 1 blast off. I just forgot what I was thinking about just now. And then what can you do with that? What is that? Well, Grantham speaking in tongues again. He went loony. Oh, well, that's okay. We know he has been that way for a long time. But we really just pat his head on the top of his head, go, you nice little boy. Now go away. And by the way, it was really nice seeing you guys. See you later. Just kidding. Oh, sorry. I can't help myself. I'm sorry, Gina. I'm a
Going,
comedian out of work and I'm a CC, a consummate comedian. I should put that by my initials down there. Ph.D. CC. And I go, what's CC? Consummate clown, as we now know. See, I got Steve laughing. He's
yeah.
laughing aloud and you're smiling. But you don't really know what I'm doing, right? And I don't either. Na 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 na.
So
So
we've just got, sorry, Steve, carry on.
coming back to your positive mind that we started this talk with, uh, people have got to understand that they're creating their world, and if they can get their thought pattern into a positive dimension of constant thought, a positive thought, which is very difficult to sustain that because negativity comes from all angles. But if you can remain in a positive persona, then you are going to make a positive world for yourself. And one of the things that I've heard lots and lots of times throughout my life, why does it always happen to me? And that for me is where the negativity has got into their head and they become negative because of it, because they're living negative in their mind. And you've got to turn that round to be positive, or as positive as you can be, and you'll find your life improve in all sorts of directions.
Absolutely. We got to be careful about being positive thinking gurus, so to speak. But at the same time, you're right about that. It's better to do the positive, but then you don't want to get in the battle with the negative. So I'm always saying, well, just let it all go. And I think the essence of what we are is a happy entity. It's very good within you. So I think it'll default to that goodness within us. I think all people want to have a polite society, but it's hard nowadays because the profane world that's out there trying to get a reaction from everybody. We want attention. We've talked a lot about that on the calls about everybody wants attention because even our birth, our manifestation here is wanting attention, but we don't admit to that because we don't realize it's a matter of Geltungsbedürfnis, which is a German word adapted to English, meaning conation or the need to express oneself. So we need to express ourselves, but where can you express yourself in a safe place? Like Steve, you're always saying we create a safe place here to express ourselves because that's what it's really about, is to allow people to have space to make their own connection all around. I mean, it's a matter of we were talking about in one of the videos the wonderment of it all. See, like the wonderment of the individual is allow them to make their own connection, their own realization in this life, and that's what it's really about. That's really the message that we have to offer here is to make that individual connection and commend people, as you're saying, being positive. Give out commendation instead of condemnation. Don't condemn people. Just find the positive things that they're having to say and nurture those things. Move in the direction of commendation. That's important. It's a really important idea to be good, and it's not hard to do. We don't have to feel uncomfortable about that. We don't have to go to negativity and stuff to get attention from somebody. You can wax goodness and get attention just as much as you can do negative things in your life to get attention. And that's what it is. All crime is, look at me, I can rob a bank, I can do this, I can do the things against society when society doesn't know what they're doing either. And so when I first was going on here a minute ago, I was saying you really need to just let things go, let it go and keep going. And the continuity factor of doing will kick in. See, that's what it is. When we give a person a chance, give them a chance to communicate, and they'll make the connection. And my Lama teachers, the Tibetan Lamas, talked about apnati. It's a higher Sanskrit term for making a voice connection in self-realization. So people can get to that if you give them space enough to do it. And that was pretty good stuff. So now I'm out of gas, so I'm leaving, right? No, I'm not. Just kidding, right?
So
I don't want to do it again, but I
that,
used to do 4 per video. Used to do 4 of them. I've only done 2 though, so I'm gonna leave now. So we'll get the third one in here.
I'm just looking at this.
Just kidding. Oh, sorry.
So I think we've come to the end of the show now. But is there
Oh,
anything?
really?
Yes, unfortunately. Is there anything that you would like to talk about next time, Steve or Brad?
yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
a good subject that's come to mind, and you've just mentioned it in and amongst Dr. Hughes, detachment, which is a very, very good tool that we've come to learn how to use.
Right,
I think
detachment.
to the
Right.
viewers,
That's a yeah. There's a misnomers in. Yeah, it's a good idea to talk about that. Very good idea. We'll do that next time.
That's great. Okay, so thank you, Steve. Thank you, Grantham, and thank you to the viewers for watching. Please share, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye for now.
bye.